Hey, Debbie, can you see me?
I sure can. Good morning. How are you? Or probably later in the afternoon for you.
Yeah, probably. It is actually set to Pacific, so it's 8:26 a.m. on my laptop, but it's
Oh,
probably
earlier
like,
than me. Yeah.
yeah. Hey, how are you
Cool.
doing today?
Good. What great keynotes.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, really. I'm so excited for today. Lindsay is also my partner is on a panel later today. And I'm so glad that I get to go first before her because I just get to like listen to everyone. And anyway,
yeah,
yeah, it's definitely exciting. You guys really have some great speakers.
for sure. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm so happy that we have you guys too because you guys do something so specific and unique, and I want people to hear about it. So
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank
and
you.
coming in, so I see you, Shannon. Hey, good morning. How are you? Hope you're doing well today. We're just waiting for two more people, and we're waiting for Matt Hoffman and Brad Spearson. We should be here in a minute. However, while we wait, I just want to let you know how the platform works. So we have Deb right now. She'll be one of our panelists. However, I just want to let you know how the platform works so you know how to get around. So if you're on a computer, it's a little different than if you are on a phone. So if you're on a computer or a tablet, on the right-hand side, there should be like some icons, reception, sessions, networking, and X. So if you're looking for a job or for a hiring booth, you want to go under X. There's going to be some booths there. Just click on those. You'll be able to apply directly from there. If you're looking to network with other folks, meet people, you can go over to the networking section, and you'll be able to match up with random people every 3 minutes. And yeah, if you want to sit on panels, you're in the right place. So yep, just if you're on a phone though, those icons are going to be down below. So just as an FYI, if you're having issues getting around, we have sessions again is where our panels are going to be. Networking is where you can, of course, network, meet people. Expo is where the jobs are. And yep, and we should get started in a little bit. And I see you, Caitlin, Sarah. Hey, Colleen, Carly. How's it going? Hey, Douglas, Luke. Hey, happy to have you. All right, very good. Got a couple more minutes here, and we should get going.
Cool. Cool.
Well, thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate it. We're happy that you're here, and we hope that you get as much as possible from this panel and this event. We have some really awesome people. Hey, we have Matt in the house. Hey, Matt.
Yay! I made it.
You made it. Yeah, you had me sweating there for a second.
Me too. Me too. uh,
We have Matt Hoffman in the building. Very cool. Very cool. Then we have one more person, Brad Spearson. He should be here momentarily. If not, we'll get going in just a minute here. So we'll give him another minute. So it's 8:29 Pacific. It's 12:29 a.m. Eastern. So at about 12:31, we'll get started. Ask some questions. Have a good panel discussion. And just while we wait here, I'll just do one more time, just the layout of the event. So if you're on a computer, on the right side, you see these icons: reception, sessions, networking, expo. So the sessions is where you are right now. You're seeing a panel. If you want to network with other folks, meet people face to face, audio and video from your device, you can go to networking. That's where that can happen. And if you want to, and we have Brad in the house. Hey, if you want to actually hop in and uh, and apply for jobs, you go to Expo. We have a bunch of hiring booths down there. So click on there. Some great companies, some great people. But yeah, so 12:30, let's get going. All right.
Cool.
Yeah, very, very excited to have everybody. So we're gonna have a conversation today about career planning. And so yeah, so I'm gonna get started first. I'm gonna do some introductions for everybody in the room. I'll go first, and then we'll have Matt, Debbie, then Brad. So my name is Louis Masensi. I am actually in Michigan, and Michigan, and we're a software company. We're called touCanna. We're actually launching this month, and yep. So if you could go around the room and get Matt, if you could get your name, where you're located, what you do, and then we'll have Debbie next.
Okay, so yeah, thanks for having me. Looks like it's been a
course.
good turnout. My name is Matt Hoffman. I'm the chairman and founder of our Cannabis, and we are a necessary nonprofit that highlights the more often than not unrecognized skills and abilities of people wanting to enter the cannabis field. So we're the first and only organization of our kind in the world, and that's why all of our services are free. I'm based in Grand Rapids, Michigan, but we've worked with people in Germany, Australia, India, all across North America. So that's me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Matt. And we'll have Debbie go next, please.
Thank you. Just first, I love Wilco, Brad, super awesome t-shirt. Um, my name is Debbie Sprint. I'm actually based out of Denver, Colorado. But I'm a certified professional in talent and development with 20 plus years of experience in corporate banking and training, a lifelong patient and advocate and consumer of cannabis. I joined RMCC in 2019 as our chief learning officer to bring adult learning and infrastructure to transform everything RMCC does in person into accessible learning programs internally and externally for our organization. So I developed our intern program, which you can check out in the expo. And I also led our team in the development of our social equity incubator program, which I'm super proud of. Continuous learning is my jam. I'm really passionate about making RMCC's training and support more accessible to more states and more clients. We do work with a lot of folks in Michigan. So good morning, Michigan. The reason for this is I got where I am today because of cannabis, my GED, and a desire to learn and seek out information. So being curious is just one of my superpowers. So I'm super happy to be here today.
All right. Thank you so much, Debbie. Happy to have you. And Brad, you're next. Where are you? What do you do?
Hi, good morning. Brad Spirison. I'm in Chicago, longtime journalist and education professional and entrepreneur. 2 years ago, I started a newsletter called Grown In, which is now an information and education company that provides industry news in Michigan, Illinois, and Missouri, and I guess, what do we call it now? Enterprise training for cannabis companies, whatever that means. A lot of the MSOs in Illinois train their bud tenders on our platform. That's a compliance-based thing. We're more have the background of like lifelong professional learning and applying ourselves into these new careers in which we embark in this cannabis industry. And thank you so much for including me in the conversation.
Of course, Brad. Thank you for being here. All right. Our very first question is going to go to you, Matt. So the reason we put this event on is because we're really passionate about getting people in this industry, whether that's being an entrepreneur like myself, or if it's with a job, because I believe you can have a successful career in either paths, really. So the first question I have for you, Matt, since you work with a lot of people just getting started, do you know anyone that started at an entry level but was able to move up to management? And if so, how long did it take them, or what do you think their skills were that put them to that level, got them there?
Yeah, so have I seen people advance from entry level positions into management? Yeah, absolutely. And that's a common track. It usually takes about a year or so. Cannabis is measured in dog years, but still you've got to put in the time. And I see that pretty regularly. If you stick around in cannabis and are paying attention and learning and absorbing information like a sponge, you'll move up. And it can be within the company, or it can be at another company. But yeah, that's a pretty common occurrence.
For sure. So one thing you did say there is just absorbing knowledge. Something that's really important in cannabis industry, at least for me. I've been involved in it in the last year and a half only. But like Matt said, dog years. Things change really, really fast. The science changes fast because, as we know, there's more and more money going to research. So we're learning more and more about it. And again, the side, the state, the regulations also change really, really fast. So you kind of have to be on your feet in order to keep up with it. So this is the next question I'm going to have for you is going to be for Debbie. So related to knowledge and learning. So let's say, for instance, if I were to start at a dispensary as a bud tender or a cashier, do you think on average, typically, the average dispensary has an internal program or training program that's good enough to get people to move up to management, or do you think that people should seek out external trainings on their own, like self-education?
Well, as a lifelong learner myself, I would say it is not absolutely up to the dispensary or that employer, because it really goes both ways. I believe as adults, we should be always learning and leveraging all the tools that are available to sharpen our skills, not just the ones our employer makes available or the ones that are handed to us. You know, if I had waited for my employer to provide the education I needed, I'd still be doing data entry.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at an individual's application personally, when I'm looking to recruit someone, I specifically ask what continuous learning as an adult they've pursued on their own. Again, especially coming into cannabis, if you're showing up thinking that you know it all, that's maybe why you're struggling. You have to come from a place of learning and seeking knowledge, and you can't put that all on your employer. It's up to you to leverage all the tools and find those tools.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that kind of goes into my next point about going outside of what you typically do in your actual place of work. So when it comes to meeting people, so let's say, for instance, Brad, this question is for you. Let's say, for instance, I'm watching this webinar right now, or this session, and I've never been interested in cannabis. This is my first time, and I'm really excited about things, and I want to meet people in the industry. What would you say are some steps that I could take today as a new person interested to actually meet some new people and network? What are some advice you can give?
I mean, I would spend time in cannabis operators. You can go to a dispensary, you could talk, you could smell, you could research, you could just be and live, and you apply whatever it is, whoever you are and what you are looking to do, and then match that with original observation that you find in an operator, in programs like this. And Lord willing, we're all going to be able to convene more regularly in person again. And there will be networking opportunities, educational opportunities, conferences, word of mouth, cohort. There are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that either are getting into this industry or want to get into this industry. Find them, learn from them, share what you know, and rinse and repeat.
Perfect. So just to echo back what excuse me, Brad just said, in person, just try to meet as many people as you can possibly uh, come up with, whether it's in person, events, however you want. However, I will also say if you're more of an introvert like myself, there are a lot of online communities you can go to. So what I would also do is on LinkedIn, for instance, and if you know that you're interested in cultivation as opposed to dispensaries or processing, just go on LinkedIn and actually look up wherever you are, the state that you are, Michigan or Illinois or Colorado, just search for cultivators in Colorado and then find some people, connect with them, follow them, interact with them, learn from them, and eventually those will turn into relationships if you're coming from a good place. So for sure, 100%. So speaking of which, next question is for Matt Hoffman. So Matt, so let's say I've been working as a bartender for a while, and I'm kind of stuck at my job, and I'm trying to move up the ladder, but I'm having a hard go at it. What would you recommend a person in that situation do if they're trying to come up the ladder, but they feel stuck?
Yeah, that's a tough situation because sometimes there's just not room for advancement. And in cannabis, you need to keep that resume sharp at all times because if for the people that don't know, the cannabis industry is volatile. It's stabilized over the last few years, but individual operators have things happen all the time. Maybe they overhire, maybe they underhire, maybe they didn't have enough cash flow. Things happen. So keep your resume up to date. Keep just a list of all your skills. And that way, if you're frustrated because you kind of run into a ceiling at one company, you can begin to go and shop around. Typically, people will spend about a year to 2 years at one company and they'll move to a different one for one reason or another. That's just the trend that I've seen. And so keeping your resume up to date is very important, and networking is key. Cannabis is built on relationships, and LinkedIn is an amazing place for cannabis relationships. I wouldn't worry so much about having thousands of connections. It's more about having a few very meaningful ones. So let's say if you feel like you're stuck, message somebody that you have a good relationship with on LinkedIn, or call somebody and just say, hey, I'm happy here, but I need to advance my career. What do you know that's out there? And then also talk to recruiters. They have their ear to the ground. They know what's happening in different parts of the country and different sectors. So that's what I would do if I was stuck and frustrated with
Yeah,
kind of capping out.
that's what I've done in my experience. I couldn't agree more. Like, so to Matt's point, excuse me, I think we met on LinkedIn personally, and actually also like, yeah, earlier this week, I think someone just DM'd me on LinkedIn like, hey, so and so. I'm like, oh, who's this person? And then I saw, hey, Matt Hoffman had told me about you, and his name was Marco. And I'm like, oh, I know Matt. Matt's great. I trust him. So I started talking to Marco, and we actually set up a meeting to meet in a couple of weeks. But yeah,
Marco's awesome. And
yeah,
you want that type of relationship where someone will say, oh yeah, Marco reached out. And I go, yeah, I know Marco. You want
yeah.
somebody where if I text or call them, they're going to pick up the phone. That's a good relationship.
Exactly. So because I trust Matt, I trust Marco by proxy, and we had a conversation on the phone. Really great guy. He was actually in Chicago for that day, and we set up a meeting. So it's really important to keep your options open, to make sure that you have meaningful relationships with people. Yeah, it really does help out. I would agree. And so my next question to you, Debbie. So let's say I'm also just brand new to this industry, and I feel a little anxious about not having the skill set. You know, I've never grown a plant before, or I've never sold cannabis over the counter before. Do you think that folks necessarily need those skills, that experience to get started in the industry, or can they use previous experience that's kind of similar? Talk a little bit about that.
I think it's very important first to decide what your relationship with cannabis is first. If growing is important to you, fine, but you need to find what your why for cannabis first. Is definitely my first piece of advice. If you don't know what your why is, you're going to be perceived as coming in for the wrong reasons. And what I mean is ka-ching, ka-ching. There's a lot of people that have done a lot of hard work already. And so first, learn your business acumen. Really going back to, I think what Matt was talking about earlier is with all of that networking. What I did when I started was I made sure that I was coming from a place of learning and seeking knowledge. I went to all of the networking events. And I wasn't there looking for a job. I was there to learn. I talked to every single vendor that was there, all of the sponsors of the event, to talk to them about their operation. I went on facility tours, right? I wanted to learn what was going. I wasn't interested in growing the plant. I didn't know exactly where I fit in. So I really took the time to figure out my why. And that helped me say, oh, people need education. Right now, they really need help with figuring out all these compliance regulations, and they're being taught how to click here and click there, but not the gray areas. And I said, that's how I can help. And then that's when I started talking to those folks. So again, first, I would just say that do your homework, build up your business acumen by talking, networking, making friends, figuring out your cannabis why, so that you know who to talk to, so that you know where you fit in. I hope that made sense.
A lot of sense, because I'm going to give you a little story. When I came from the legacy market. I dabbled in that a little bit. So then when, it became recreational legal, I'm like, well, awesome. I love cannabis. I know the benefits it can have on people's lives. It's really not harmful. I'm like, yeah, let me start a dispensary. That makes so much sense to me. I've sold cannabis for years. But then after looking at the regulations and looking at myself as a person, I've never managed or owned a store before. However, I had tech skills. I've done coding before, database design, architecture. So I'm like, well, those are my skills, and I'd love to help people somehow. So why not just stay with what I have? I know how to do coding. Why don't I just create a software, work with a software company, and then provide something to dispensaries? So because I knew my why was still around dispensaries and what my skills were, I was able to apply that rather than pursue a license, open a dispensary, and probably fail because I don't have those skills at all. Yeah, that makes 100% sense.
I
Thank you
want
so
to
much.
add a little bit
Yeah.
to that, if I can. So, do you need experience to work in cannabis? No. Bring the skills that you have. There are so many jobs that are in traditional work markets that the only difference is you change the word restaurant to cannabis, and it's the same job.
Yeah.
So, the thing that will make you successful in the cannabis field is having your eyes and ears open and putting in the effort. When we're helping people make resumes and negotiate for salaries and enter the space, the people that do well, the Marcos, they are the ones that are putting the effort in. It's not that they have the best degrees or they're the smartest or they're the charming or handsomest. That has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the effort that they put in. And the cannabis community as a culture is about two things. It's about effort because it's a ton of hard work. A lot of people don't know that it is. And then the next thing is learning. So if somebody's hungry and pursuing knowledge, that checks all the boxes for the people that are from the industry. And we say, hey, you know what? I was like that. I went to all the conferences. I did all these things. I want to help that person because they're doing all the right things to be successful in the space. So if you have direct cannabis industry experience, great. If you're from a legacy market like Louis and I are, great. But it's not necessary. Your attitude and your effort are.
100%. Couldn't have said it better, guys. Thank you so much for that. All right. So next question is for Brad. So knowing that you run a newsletter, I just wanted to get an idea from you. So what does a typical day in the life of Brad Spearson look like when you're working in the industry? Who do you interact with? What do you do? Yeah.
It's an interesting one. It's different every day. And while that part of my job, writing and being a journalist, allows like a 360-degree orientation to see a lot of things and do a lot of I, like everyone here, just one person. So like everyone's day in this industry, I think is probably pretty impactful because we're all, I love the term, transitioning from a legacy to a legal market. I mean, what does that mean? We're drug dealers. Now we're making money for it and trying to do positive things for positive people and not putting people in jail.
That's right.
So from a reporting perspective, it's interesting. I mean, we're in 3 states. All 3 states are different. Michigan, most people know here, started in various, 08 and has like a really interesting, complicated market, which is different than Illinois, which has all of these MSOs and there's like 10 companies splitting on, $1.5 billion in revenue. And then there's Missouri, there's a red state where the governor's not thrilled about pot. And so everything's kind of And so we're like in all of those 3 different places watching the emergence of legacy to legal markets that are these laboratories for some sort of federal system that eventually will come.
That's right.
But
That's right.
there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of greed. There's a lot of idealism. There's a lot of disingenuousness. Well, you know what I mean? Yeah,
for sure. I couldn't agree more. There's the way I look at it, cannabis culture has been around for such a long time, and it was always about sharing, about love, and of course about just like good vibes. But then business is business. It's a very bottom line thing in business. It's competition. It's cutthroat. So trying to merge the two has been really hard. And of course, things that have happened in Michigan and other states. We know how things are. I understand. Thank you so much, Brad, for expressing that. So speaking of journalism and content, so I wanted to just touch on and learning, because everybody touched on learning so much, right? So I'm also a person that's just always trying to learn more. So I want to just kind of touch on what you all are learning from. So what pieces of content that you go to, and I'm going to share mine first. So when I want to learn about the cannabis industry, I go on LinkedIn because I don't have to go directly to a leafly.com website. I can just see what my connections are reposting. It kind of filters out things for me. I'm connected with lawyers. I'm connected with people who do all sorts of different things. So I'm always able to stay up to date via my LinkedIn feed. And honestly, I love Brad's Grown In newsletter. So if you're not on it, Grown In, I would definitely look into it. There's another one from Matthew O'Brien, 4 p.m. I love those newsletters. They go directly to your email and then just reminds you to go and check on them. But from you guys, Debbie, how do you stay up on learning about this industry?
Well, I'm in a very lucky position. My chief compliance officer actually keeps us all updated on everything we need to according to regulations. She's on a panel later. She may talk a little bit more how she structures that. But as far as regulations and all that good stuff, she keeps me up to date through her methods. But I am a member. We are a member of NCIA. I think they're a valuable information. I attend all of their webinars, read all of their newsletters. I read Ganjapreneur. That's like a crawler. It's going to bring a bunch of other news feeds through. I think LeafLink or LeafWire. LeafWire is another good one, especially if folks are looking for jobs. LeafWire would be a really great folks to check out and subscribe to their newsletter. I definitely use our Clubhouse. I mentioned it earlier, and someone asked, don't you have to know someone to get onto Clubhouse? Yes, but that's kind of what networking is. So sign up for it. Maybe you already know someone on there. Maybe you meet someone in LinkedIn. You can network and get an invite to Clubhouse. I think Clubhouse is a really great way to learn from cannabis leaders. There's a Clubhouse room that I go to every day. It's a State of Cannabis. It's like Nicole Wes, Jason Beck, a lot of the leaders. Those are the folks that you kind of want to follow and that. So yeah, I'm immersed in all of this media all day, but thank goodness for my chief compliance officer, or I would never keep up on all the regulations.
Yeah, there's just too much to keep up with, Debbie.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much. All right, so now let's hop over to Matt. So how do you stay up on the news and in cannabis?
Honestly, at this point, I've read all the books, and I'm coming from. It's been almost 12 years I've been in the field, so I'm going out. I'm learning all the stuff that all the traditional business people have learned, and so it's sort of a self-sharpening blade. Having conversations with people in our workshops keeps information flowing to me. Having conversations with our alumni who are working in interdisciplinary sectors across the U.S. keeps information flowing to me. And then having conversations with my colleagues, be it lobbyists or publicists or people at the university or academic setting or people that are in the government. So it's sort of, I'm a drain and information just comes to me. Things that I read are totally interdisciplinary and don't really have anything to do with cannabis, but are being used to develop my cannabis business, my nonprofit. So I'm in a unique spot. It's a self-sharpening blade.
Yeah, so if I'm online, it's all cannabis stuff. If I'm reading books, it's self-help books typically about business, networking, that type of deal as well. But yeah, so lastly, and we're about to close out right now because this only runs about 25 minutes. I wish it ran a little longer. But Brad, how do you keep up on the news? How do you learn? Where do you go?
Well, it's twofold. One, there's responsibility to publish information in Illinois, Michigan, Missouri before anyone else does. So it's a lot of talking to people and shaking them down for information, as well as publicly available sources. I mean, Michigan, Illinois, Missouri, like it's all there. Who owns what and why? There's a lot of research in terms of how to do that. So I use a lot of public feeds, and then I use a lot of direct interviewing. My colleague Mike Fouché does, he leverages the Freedom of Information Act to get information from the state that they otherwise wouldn't release. And then from a business perspective, our customers rely on updated regulations, and so it's our job to not only be updated in all of our learning materials, but know what's going to happen before it happens. So I look at a lot of lawmaking in states about to become online, because that's kind of breadcrumbs for whatever businesses that will be operating in the future.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I think that pretty much wraps us up. I just do want to talk about what you all are working on right now. I know, Brad, you do have a summit upcoming, I believe. Is it next week?
Yes, Wednesday, June 16th. If you are interested in attending the Grown In Cannabis and Capital Summit, please send me an email at brad@grownin.com. We would be thrilled to accommodate.
Isn't it?
Yes, thank you for the clarification.
For sure. I will put it in. I'll put your email here.
Thank you.
At for sure. And then I know, Debbie, you're working on an internship program. So you want to speak a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah, we've got a booth, so come check us out in the expo. But we have a I can't remember all the roles right now at the top of my head. But someone to help Lindsay as a helping with the regulatory matrix that we use as our sources of truth. So she's deep in the regs. So she's that position. Typically, we bring an intern on, to help her with that. We also have, I think, one of the most exciting opportunities is as the metric auditor. That's really the heart and soul of what RMCC does. We agnostic, we go in there, we help out the operation, figure out those gaps, clean them up, make sure that they're not going to happen again. And so learning how to do that is just super invaluable. And then we also have a call support specialist and a training specialist. We get some of the craziest calls. People call RMCC asking for all kinds of stuff. So definitely fun opportunities to learn about the industry and figure out, do you want to work in compliance? Do you want to work in something else? So anyway, check us out. It'll be fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, Debbie. And Debbie has a booth again under the Expo section, and it's under Rocky Mountain Cannabis Consulting, RMCC. And lastly, Matt, is there anything that you're working on right now that people should know about, or not really?
Yeah, no, not really. I'm just chilling. No, yeah, I wish. No, we've got our second joint workshop with the state of Michigan coming up on June 24th, and we'll put links on social media to that. It's about nailing a cannabis interview. So that's basically the bread and butter of what we do at our Cannabis, which is a nonprofit. We've got cannabis job readiness program coming up in the middle of July. That's about a month long. It's at no cost. And then I can't say anything formally yet, but we've partnered with a Michigan university, and
nice,
providing a soft skills and job readiness program development to that university's program, cannabis program. So yeah, that's what we have going on. It's pretty exciting. So thanks for hosting this. And like you, I wish we had more time, but I enjoyed the time that we had so far. So thanks, Louie, and thanks everybody else.
For sure. Thank you so much. And if you all wouldn't mind, Brad, Debbie, and Matt, if you guys could actually go into the networking area, I'd like some folks to be able to
I'm looking forward to it. It's so fun on this platform.
It is. And up next, we have our cultivation panel. I had a blast, guys. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to see our cultivation panel, go to the sessions area. If you want to meet Debbie, Brad, or Matt, go to networking. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. Bye-bye.